Yeah, I feel like that's our biggest arsenal, is that we know what we're capable of doing and we know what we want to do, and we don't know how to do it any other way. When we initially started, we kind of did everything backwards. So when we look at the business now, and we're like, if we put this to like a bank manager and said we need 100 grand, we need to open a restaurant, they would have looked at it and been like, are you crazy? You want to start with 2 days a week and then you're going to change your menu every week and you're going to pick a residential spot. How is this going to work? But we've done it our way, so we feel like we've grown the business and the brand into what we really appreciate. But when I look at it and I'm like, we've done everything completely the opposite.
I'm Kevin Rivers, and my friend Carlos Miranda and I are two American expats who spend their days either eating or waiting to eat in our adopted home of Edinburgh. We are on a 10-episode journey to learn the stories behind some of the bars, restaurants, and coffee shops that make up this city's world-class food scene. This is Eating and Waiting to Eat.
If you and your family were going to open up a restaurant based around what you guys ate at home, what kind of restaurant would it be?
If I had to choose one thing that we would open a restaurant off of, it would be my dad's chili. Every year from when he was in his 20s up until a couple of years ago, every Super Bowl, my dad threw a party called Killer Chili Sunday. In its heyday, we would have like 100 people over to the house. He would make 7 different kinds of chili, 14 different kinds of bread, cookies, caramel corn. He would spend 2 weeks making this chili. The holy grail was the killer chili, which traditionally was so spicy that when you ordered it, you were given a pack of Rolaids and a stack of napkins. We'd only have it once a year, but it was so iconic and such a staple in our lives. It was really special. That would be the thing that my family would open a restaurant around.
I see the theatrical component to it as well, like bringing out the chili and 7 different types. You could see like different stations, right?
He had separate bowls that he would use just for Killer Chili Sunday, separate pots and pans because he needed something large enough to make the quantity. The chili was served at halftime. So as halftime was getting ready, the queue would form and he would unearth the chili. So I think Killer Chili, the restaurant, would be it. What about you? What would your family start a restaurant around?
I think we talked about this in a previous episode, but my father was an amazing barbecuer. So I think our answer would be some kind of barbecue restaurant, but not a restaurant with a lot of options. I can see it being a restaurant that's like, what's my dad cooking that day? And that's what's going to go on the menu. So I think some kind of like barbecued restaurant with maybe a little bit of like that Latin Spanish spin to it.
Some black beans and rice.
I mean, always black beans and rice. Come on. I mean, I don't want to play into a stereotype, but also 100% black beans and rice. So much of everyone's love for food comes from family and growing up and having those like shared family moments. And that's really kind of a theme for today's episode. Really, it's about a family's love for food and a family cooking together and wanting to bring in people basically into their homes to eat what they eat. So Kev, why don't you tell us who we're having on the show and what it's all about?
Yeah, so this week we are talking to Stevie from Sabzi, an incredible Indian restaurant on Ferry Road in Trinity. The story of Sabzi is really the story of a family finding success by sharing its food and its culture and its identity with the community and doing things their own way at every turn.
Why don't you give us some of the vital stats?
Sabzi was opened in 2021. The vibe in there is festive, it's bright, it's welcoming. You really feel like you are walking into a party at their home. Just walking in there, their enthusiasm for what they do is so infectious. The way they talk about it, the way they bring you in and welcome you and really try and share what they are doing with you. And I'd say that is reflected in the food as well, right? The food tastes like a party.
Yeah, 100%. And even having our guest, Stevie, join us in the studio from the moment we walked in, it's like we had known each other forever. And there was a certain amount of energy and dynamism in the room that was just like, you used the word infectious, and I think that's right.
When we think about the kind of food, it is an Indian restaurant that serves up Northern Indian dishes from home-cooked favorites to classical restaurant cuisine that very much brings in a lot of Scottish elements. Like you'll see haggis on the menu. You will see spices and produce and meats that are common to Scotland being used in the food. So it really is this meld of the two worlds.
Stevie talks about this. It's very much, paying homage to both elements of his and their heritage.
Totally.
So you go in there or you're ordering online. What are you getting, Kev?
So one of the really neat things about Sabzi is that the menu changes every week, which is quite unique for such an accessible restaurant, but that always keeps it really exciting. There's always really interesting things on the menu. There are a few things that stay on the menu throughout. They are on the menu repeatedly because they are the favorites. They are no doubters. But through the rest of the menu, there's just so much good stuff. They have a lamb hamburger that is one of my absolute favorite hamburgers in town. If that one's on the menu, that's usually my go-to.
I'd also add, because it's a family-owned restaurant, it's one of these places where you legitimately can just ask any of them, hey, what should I order? And then they get excited about telling you about all the dishes and what you should order. So when in doubt, if you're in Sabzi's, ask. Do you need a reservation?
So it's not a place where you absolutely need one. There are some nights where it'll be busier and you'll have trouble walking in, but a lot of times you can just walk in. Nonetheless, if you're going into the restaurant, it's worth just having one on the books. But you actually don't even need to go into the restaurant in order to enjoy Sabzi. They do their own home delivery. They have an app and a website through which you can order your food, and then they show up in their Sabzi van, which is this bright purple van that listeners have no doubt seen driving around town a ton. And it's either Stevie or his dad usually who are dropping off the food. So you really get that experience that you get being in the restaurant. That's always a great option as well if you don't feel like getting out of the house.
All right. What do you think? Should we bring on Stevie?
Yeah.
Stevie, I love seeing the van around town. Like, the van from Scooby-Doo? Just for the people that don't know the restaurant, which we're about to geek out about, you have this beautifully branded van and you deliver. And we'll talk about that. But it genuinely brings me joy seeing the van around town.
Yeah, see, because we're local in the area as well, and because I take the van with me home, when I'm driving out and I'm stuck at lights, everybody, they're kind of like taking pictures and stuff, and they're obviously quite mesmerised by the colour and the branding, and because it's so bold. That was the idea from the very beginning. We wanted it to be really in your face, colourful, bright, and all of those resemblances and ideas that we get from when we went to India for the first time. So there's really super bright colours. It's really in your face. And people can see it,
So that's your ride into work.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially during the festival, like in August, when it's like crazy busy, Dad just does rounds and just lets people see the van.
That's awesome.
And that's it. Do you know what I mean? That's really old school.
That's
like, I just want people to see the van. It's a great advertising skill. That's what we paid for, right? We paid for it to people look at.
The thing about the van is not just the color, it's the branding. Your branding is so beautiful. Like, we'll talk about the food.
Yeah.
But your look and feel, your branding is so unique. It screams Indian restaurant in Edinburgh, and it's colorful and it's bright and it's inviting. I just think that you guys have nailed it.
I appreciate that.
And I think it's such different branding than a lot of other Indian restaurants, right? Like a lot of other Indian restaurants go with the oranges and the more earthy tones and embrace that
bright, just go with
bold
different
colors. Yeah, totally.
We actually came up with that in about 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. When we started the idea of Sabzi, we were going to do a pop-up. The pop-up was only due to last for 6 weeks. So it was only a 6-week thing, and we were like, we don't need to think too hard about the branding, the logo and all that kind of stuff. We'll just kind of throw some ideas out there and see what comes up. And basically we just kind of sieved through lots of different ones. And same with the name as well. We literally came up the name, the colour, the branding, all in about 30-40 minutes.
And so going from the pop-up into the actual restaurant, you're like, we're just keeping everything.
Yeah, because it worked and everybody really enjoyed what we were doing. The visual aspect, as a background of photography, I was a freelance photographer for about 6 years before we actually started this. So I think for me that attention to detail visually really helped. When I was able to see something that I really liked, I was like, I really enjoy looking at that. That's when I turned the laptop and I showed it to family and they were like, it's really nice actually. It's very different. It's obviously really bold. The capital letters really hold a bit of stableness in there as well, and we just rolled with it.
So where did the idea for the pop-up come from?
So Dad initially had Coffee and Cream. That was a coffee shop and he had that for about 8 years. So that started around about 2012. Then it kind of ran it up to about COVID time, 2020. And at that point, Dad was like, this is really tough. I'm not sure how long we're going to keep going with this. The last year or two, Dad kind of lost his way with the business and just wasn't really sure how to push it. But the bullet on it, he was like, I think we're just going to call it a day. It's been great. We were all kind of doing our own stuff at that point as well, so we weren't really fully invested in what we were doing as much as Dad was. And when he decided to do that, obviously COVID happened. We were all kind of sitting around not doing anything. And I was looking online. There was a lot of friends within the industry that I knew that were doing pop-ups. And I took to my personal Instagram and I was like, would anybody be interested in eating my mum's food? And the response to it was amazing. So we were like, let's try this. Once we decided that we were doing a pop-up, the name, the branding and everything like that, we then started an Instagram account and then Kenny shared it and we were like, we're going to do this pop-up. At that point, we didn't really decide what we were actually going to do. We were like, we don't know what to put on the menu. We don't know where to start. There was no initial idea of what we were going to serve, but we had the idea of what it was going to look like. And then that's when we decided, right, let's keep it super simple. And Dad was like, let's just do like a vegetarian curry, a meat curry, pakora. So we did like a meat pakora and a veg pakora and just 4 items on the menu and just kept it really simple. And that was it. The idea was that we were going to be cooking and serving food that we eat at home, because why wouldn't you? My dad had a restaurant 15, 20 years ago with my brother, and they kept a really traditional white linen tables, classic menus. They were serving traditional kind of restaurant cuisine. But the funny thing was, in the kitchen, the staff were cooking home-cooked curries. And I'd worked in bars and restaurants. I'd always taken little bits of leftovers and pakoras and samosas and stuff into work and gave it to the guys that I worked with, and they absolutely loved it. So I was like, why are we not serving this type of food? The idea was always there, but I never really played on it. But I also think the timing of it all, 20 years ago, that idea might have not worked. So we came to a time where things are being a bit more acceptable and trying new things, and people are more encouraged to try new things as well. And once we start pushing it, people were looking at the images. They were really interested to see what this was. And then when it came to the actual day of the pop-up, it's crazy because inside it looked nothing like it does now. The floors have been ripped up, the walls have been ripped down, so it didn't look great at all. We had basically barricaded it off with fridges so nobody can kind of see past it. So we had this little section at the front door with a table just to block people from coming in, and it was covered in Coca-Cola fridges just to stop people from looking in, and the windows were covered so we couldn't really see what was going outside. Comes to the time of the pop-up, maybe like an hour before we kicked off, Dad gets a text from one of his older customers from Coffee and Cream. He actually stayed across the road from where we are. And he sends a picture to Dad via WhatsApp. There was a queue of about 40 people waiting outside.
Oh my God.
At that point, in reality hit, me and Dad were like, we don't know what we're doing. This is going to be crazy. So we just started we opened the shutters. Mum and my brother Ryan, who are the cooks of the family, they just kicked into action. Me and Dad were basically at the front taking orders. And again, there was no system. So we were like, how do we do this? We take the orders, hand it to the kitchen, we come back and just shout people's names, just hand out orders to people. And it was so disorganised because obviously there was a lot of people there. And it's one of those things, because it's quite a narrow street down the Summerside Street end, there were people kind of just off on the pavements and a bit on the road and stuff like that. So I was like, trying not to cause issues for people kind of just want to walk past and stuff. But it was so hard to control because we have never done anything like this before. So it was like, how do we maintain this? And we just worked our way through it at that point. But the initial adrenaline and the excitement and all of that just kicked in, and we sold out within 3 or 4 hours. It was insane.
That's incredible.
It's insane. But as I said, we had initially done that for 6 weeks. But after the 6 weeks, the idea was that Dad was going to kind of move on and sell the property and stuff like that. We actually took the keys back after 3 weeks. Something was happening. We could feel it. And we were just trying to figure out what's the best move. We were like, do we take a risk with it? Or do we pull the plug on it after 6 weeks and do our own thing? That was the initial plan. But after 3 weeks, we were super excited as much as the customers were. We've never had this kind of response before. I think it was more of a week-to-week kind of thing. We were just constantly kind of seeing where it was going, where it was moving, and then where we wanted to go with it. And then week-to-week, the excitement just grew even more. But it was funny, after about a month or two, the people that were coming to the pop-up every week were the same people, every single week. And they were like, when are you opening a restaurant? But even after a couple of months, that idea hadn't even hit us yet. We were just like, we're just doing a pop-up. After about 2 months, we were like, right, the demand is there. People are enjoying what we're doing. There was something brewing, and we didn't know what it quite was, but we were heading towards something that we were super excited about. We did the pop-up for actually 6 months. We eventually finished up with the pop-up in June of 2020. When the COVID restrictions lifted a little bit, that's when we decided that we were going to open more of a sit-down venue. We pushed forward for a month of renovating, and renovating was a cool, fun factor.
Did you design? Because the place is also,
so a lot of
like the van.
So a lot of the inspiration came from, personally, from my experience of being in India, and I really wanted to implement the kind of bold colours, really loud. And I remember saying it deliberately. I said I want the Sabzi logo to look like it's just punching people in the face. You walk past the door, even if you're not coming in, if you look through the door, you'll see it. That was the immediate one, and then everything just built around that. So we were like, keep it super colourful. A lot of houses in India, when they're celebrating something, they'll cover the whole house in like fairy lights. So when you're walking past it, you know there's something being celebrated there, whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, whether it's a newborn child, or whatever it may be. So we were like, we want to celebrate that factor, keep it nice and bright, keep the colours there, and bring that street element with the Bollywood posters as well. It's funny though, because when we thought of that idea, I was always saying the Sabzi wall is going to be the most prominent wall in the building. But now that we've created the Bollywood poster wall with the old Blockbuster sign, because it used to be a Blockbusters, we discovered that sign and we put it on the wall. Wait, that
sign used to be a Blockbusters?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so the sign that's there is
the original sign. It's the original sign.
That's amazing.
It's insane, right? We had no idea that was there. When Dad had it as a coffee shop, he took down the signage, flipped it, and then re-vinyled the other side and put it back up. So when renovation started, we ripped in the old signage. And the minute we turned it around, it was just like a the kind of moment. There's a big halo around it. I was like, it's like finding gold. And the actual condition of it was amazing. If you think about Blockbuster, so many people recognise it. At that point, we were like, right, we're going to do something with it. I don't know what it is. But then when we designed the Bollywood poster wall, we were like, we need to put the Blockbuster sign there. Movies, old Bollywood posters, all kind of ties in perfectly. It was that instant fun factor to what we were doing at that point as well. And now that's the busiest wall in the restaurant.
That's
awesome.
Love
taking pictures of.
Yeah, hand on my heart, I have my Blockbuster card from when I was 10.
Really?
And it is this thing of its time.
Right? I've actually got the key ring here. I've got it in my jacket actually. I've got the old Blockbuster key ring.
That's awesome.
It just feels like a little golden nugget there. Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
You know, one of the things that I've always loved about you guys is the fact that you don't have a lot of options on your menu. It makes me want to order different things because I know everything's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's always a travesty to me when I don't go to Sabzi with a critical mass of people where we can order one of everything because next week it's gone, and so you try to get as much as you can while you can.
Well, that came from obviously the inspiration behind the pop-up. Because we were only trading 2 days a week, Saturday and Sunday, it gave us a whole week to design something new. If you think about how vast an Indian menu is generally in restaurants, we were like, well, might as well change it and we'll do something different. And we kept it at like 4 dishes maximum because we just didn't want to overload ourselves. We just wanted to keep it really simple and just keep that mentality of you can see exactly what you're ordering and just keep the whole thing super simple. There's no point in complicating it. So we want people to really enjoy what we're putting out. But week by week, the menu kind of grew by like 1 dish, and then eventually maybe another dish, and then we kind of pulled back a little bit on some dishes.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot of really interesting dishes on the menu. You change the menu every week, right? What goes into that process? Is it like the whole family coming together and deciding on the menu? And
yeah, very much so. We still have that getting together. We talk about the menu, talk about dishes, how we're going to go about doing it. From the very beginning of the pop-up, we used to change the menu every week. So that whole idea stuck with us, and we were like, this works really well. It keeps people excited, as well as us excited, because otherwise you just get bored in the kitchen. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The guys, it keeps everybody on their toes. So we were like, let's run with this idea. It's not an idea that anybody's doing in terms of the Indian restaurant kind of scene. And with that idea, we were like, let's play on that seasonal factor as well. So we have that flexibility to kind of pick and choose what we want. But in creating the menu, the whole aspect of it is that we're taking control of what we want to do. So we're telling people this is what we want to eat, and if you want to eat it, you're more than welcome. And if we enjoy it, you guys are going to enjoy it. But then we bring a little bit of fun to it as well, because we do dishes that some people have never heard of. Dishes that we kind of grew up eating as kids, and Mum would have like leftover curry, and she would put it in like a toasty machine, and that's where the whole toasty element comes from. So we bring a bit of our childhood into the menus, so it keeps it fun.
It's interesting because, like you said, the whole ethos of the restaurant is very much what's happening in your home kitchen. Really, like, this is what we like. Come join us, as opposed to like trying to cater to the masses. And so to keep that going as you're building out the menus now, and as you guys have achieved successes.
That was the idea from the very beginning. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it our way. We want people to join us on that journey as well. And people really enjoy what we do now, which is amazing. So it gives us that feel-good factor. We know we're doing something right, and it gives us the confidence to reach a little bit further and start pushing the boundaries a little bit. And
so you've mentioned your brother, you've mentioned your mom, you've mentioned your dad. You are like a family unit behind Sabzi's.
I feel like you don't see many properly family-run businesses anymore. Multi-generations, all working together.
You talked about your brother and your mom in the kitchen, you and your dad front of house. But obviously working with family must be amazing, and then it must be like challenging, right?
If I'm around my brothers for more than a day, we're at each other's throats. So I don't know how you manage
I think as an Indian family is always at the core of everything that we do. It's a very family-orientated kind of culture. So being around family was always a natural thing for us to do and to be around. And if you were away for longer than a couple of days, mum's on the phone, like, where are you? Like, what have you been doing? Like, why have you not come around? Even still to this day, if I've not been for a day, mum will be like, are you coming out for food? And I'm like, Mum, I'm 41 years old. I'm just maybe going to go out and get something to eat. And she's like, yeah, but there's food at home. Like, why do you want to go out? Okay. That whole family core has always been there. Transporting that from a homely environment to more of a business environment works for us really well because we know each other's limits and stuff like that. I don't know if you know how kitchens kind of work. When you've got a team that gels and get on really well, it honestly turns the whole environment into an incredible situation because the food comes out beautiful, everything feels easy to do. So I feel like we bring that gellingness together, that we know exactly how we work, and there's no kind of stepping stones to figuring out each person's personality. So for us, we know exactly how each other work really well. So we push on that, and that kind of shot us to the very top. I think it just worked really well.
So much of the menu at Sabzi, you call it Punjabi cuisine, but there's so much influence from other things. It's really an international menu in a lot of ways. I've always been curious what sort of the culinary background is and where that comes from.
So nobody in our kitchen is professionally trained. Mum's side of the family are big cooks. They love food, they love cooking, and a lot of this experience comes from like butchery and stuff as well. My brother, Ryan, he took over the reins from Mum because he's always been interested in things like that. And they just gradually kind of gravitated towards that side of things. So we were like, you've got a fair idea of what you're doing. We've started, in our eyes, super basic in what we're doing and then kind of built on that. And now that he's gained confidence in what he's doing, it allows him to be a bit more experimentative. And because I spend so much time on my phone and online and looking at things and getting a lot of footage from parts of India, I'm always like, should we try this? Or we could do something like this and maybe do it our way. A lot of the experience and inspiration comes from going to India as well, because we like to go to India every year. So every January we close for like 3 weeks, and we all disperse after Christmas and New Year and take a break. My choice is to always go back to India because I want to really grow my knowledge on more of the Indian street food side of things and bringing that back and growing it in the restaurant.
You've talked about going back to India and getting inspiration, but also there is something very Scottish about the way you guys do things. To me, like, yes, it's obviously Punjabi Indian cuisine, but there's something very Scottish about the restaurant as well. And so were you raised here? Like, were you born in Edinburgh?
So we were literally born down the street. Dad is born and raised from Edinburgh, and Mum's born and raised in Manchester. So a lot of that Scottish influence has always been there. It's funny, when we went to Kerala in January there, we found a sweet. We had basically stopped for chai and a little bit of a sweet, and we broke open the sweet, and Dad screamed, haggis! And I was like, it's not haggis, Dad. He goes, it looks like haggis. It's not haggis. It's a sweet of lentils. And bringing in that Scottishness to us is just a way of nature. Born and raised here, very much part of the Scottish culture, and bringing that Indian Scottish influence together gives us something to kind of work with as well. It really broadens the horizon for it.
I feel that Scottishness of Sabzi. There's a lot of amazing Indian restaurants in town, but I feel like those could be placed anywhere else. They could be in London, they could be in New York, but I think Sabzi is of Edinburgh.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know how to be Scottish. We are Scottish. Being able to bring a lot of the Scottish influence into our cooking is amazing, like classic haggis pakoras and stuff like that. But we're definitely heading towards more of the game section as well. There's some stunning game in Scotland, and we do a lot of that cooking at home as well, but we've just never really brought it to the restaurant just yet. So we're definitely heading towards that direction. We've got loads of kind of ideas.
You talk about how Scottish it is and how of Edinburgh it is, but at the same time, you guys do everything completely differently than everybody else. I feel like if you went to somebody and asked them, I'm opening a restaurant, what should I do? You guys, in a lot of ways, do the opposite. It's a very unique way of doing it that almost feels like it's the only way we know how to do it, and that's how we're going to do it.
I feel like that's our biggest arsenal, is that we know what we're capable of doing and we know what we want to do, and we don't know how to do it any other way. When we initially started this with the pop-up, we kind of did everything backwards. So when we look at the business now, and we're like, if we put this to like a bank manager and said we need 100 grand, we need to open a restaurant. They would have looked at me like, are you crazy? You want to start with 2 days a week? And then you're going to change your menu every week and you're going to pick a residential spot. How is this going to work? But we've done it our way. So we feel like we've grown the business and the brand into what we really appreciate. But when I look at it and I'm like, we've done everything completely the opposite. The timing of how everything started as well, it's very different. I like that uniqueness of what we're doing. We're saying, well, here it is now, do you want it or not? But you've got to back it up with the flavour of the food. You can't create that demand and the food quality is not there. You can't come into an environment this super bright and not have great food, right? Like imagine if you came in and the food was terrible, you'd be like, what am I doing here? Like,
no, it'd be like a novelty, like, oh, you go to the Blockbuster, take a picture, and then but never eat there
exactly.
again. And
exactly. How'd you decide to do all your own deliveries and have your own website and ordering platform?
So we use an online platform. There's a company called Flipdish. They create the website and they create an app for you and stuff like that. When we started, we were like, this will just simplify everything for us, and then we don't have to worry about doing all that stuff. When you're starting a business like this, it's to try and save the cost where you can. And Dad, in that sense, he's always like, we need to save as much as we can, where we can. And if that means that we need to do deliveries ourselves, let's do it. We were busy in the restaurant, but the online market hadn't quite established at that point. So we were like, we can definitely do this ourselves. And I really like that idea because people absolutely love it. The amount of times that people have come back to me and said, who's that delivery man? He's absolutely lovely. He tells us how to eat our food and tells us how to do these certain dishes and stuff. And I was like, that's amazing. These are things that you're going to hold on to your experience of coming and eating at our restaurant.
What I don't understand is how he simultaneously works the front of house at the restaurant and does the deliveries, because 9 times out of 10 he's the one delivering my food, and 9 times out of 10 when I'm in the restaurant he's the one waiting on me at the table, and I'm like, are there just two of them?
There's two of them.
There's just two of them.
So it's very casual. A delivery will come through. If Dad's busy with a customer, I'll go and do the deliveries kind of thing. We just have this understanding of knowing how it works. So there's no set rota or anything. It's just very much who's busy on the floor. I'll go and do the deliveries. Or if Dad's just come back from playing golf and he's like, I'll just do deliveries, I'm like, cool, that's fine. And I'll look after the floor. But Dad's very much life and the soul of the party at Sabzi. When you get Dad coming serving you at the table, you know you're going to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, when you go to Sabzi, it feels like a party. There's always energy. I'd never thought of that before about bringing that through the deliveries to people's houses. I'm sure to you and your dad and the rest of your family, not every day I'm sure feels like a party, but somehow you always bring that energy. How do you do that on the bad days?
It's very challenging. I'm very much one of those people that overthink things when they go wrong. So I try and detach myself from that side of things. And Dad's very much like, let's roll. Every day, even if you've had a bad day, Dad's like, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And I'm the one that's kind of like, but we need to do this, and we need to do it like this, and this has happened, and we need to sort this. It's like, it's fine, it'll happen, it'll sort itself out. So I think Dad's mentality on that side of things is super refreshing because it's not something I'm used to doing myself. So when Dad's like, it's okay, we'll deal with it, having that security as a parent, just being there and knowing that your dad's going to sort it out, your dad's going to fix it, or your mum's going to fix it, brings me a bit of comfort, and knowing that it's always going to be okay. When we open for service, I say to everybody in the kitchen and in front of the house, this is our fun. This is the part that we want to have fun. The Monday and Tuesday we close is the days that nobody wants to do, because obviously it's the day we're doing the admin and doing the orders and paying bills and all that kind of stuff. But when it's Wednesdays to Sunday, that's the days that we're ready to rock and roll. It's the time you get to meet people from all over the world that come in for the first time and they're like, what is this place? I've never seen it. Well, that's the part that we have fun. And every day is super different. Service runs a little bit differently. Some dishes are more popular than others on set days. So it's always interesting to see how that works, and translating that to the customer as well is all super fun. I like to walk people through the menu because for me, it gives you the full experience of what we're trying to do here. I'm not trying to sell anything to you, but I'm encouraging you throughout the menu where I think you should go and what you should experience. And it's pretty cool actually, because it gives me an opportunity to kind of walk people through the menu, explore different dishes and flavours, and we're building that connection again. We're building a relationship between us and the people that come in to dine. So that for me is the funnest part.
So many places don't do it that way. You know, you guys take so much care. You're having fun, but you feel like part of the family. You feel like you're eating in someone's very colorful house. You know?
Yeah, definitely. We get that a lot, and I love that. That was never the intention at the very beginning, but the response that we get and the comments that we get like that is probably one of the best compliments you could ever get as a restaurant. Being able to create that out of nothing and to bring that to the table now and to have people come back and want to experience that again is such a beautiful thing, because You don't get it everywhere. I, as a consumer, I'm like, where can I go that's like Sabzi? Where can I go where I can be friends with somebody, have a really good time, enjoy food? And there's only like a select few that I can think of. So I'm just like, I know we bring something special to the table now. We've been doing it a very long time. And to be able to continue that is the goal. Again, it's not something we're trying to do. It's something that we are. Right. We are these people. That's our hospitality. That's what we like to do. So none of it's a front, and you're getting a real kind of traditional, authentic experience. And I hate to use the word authentic because I feel like everybody throws it around willy-nilly, but as a family, that's what we want people to enjoy.
And because you're not in the center of town, you got to hustle like where you are.
100%. Yeah. We're very pressing on what we do, and because it almost feels like in the middle of nowhere, especially when you compare lots of other restaurants that are in the hustle bustle of the city. We make sure that people are hearing about what we're doing as well. When we look at the premises, and I always say to Dad, would we have picked this location if I had a big lease sign outside the door? Probably not, because we were like, we want to be in the mix of it all. Yeah. But because we dealt with the cards that we got dealt at that moment in time, we were like, let's just do this and see how it goes. And then it grew very quickly into what it is now. But it was such a creative and fun process for us that we were just kind of growing on it. Now, the idea of opening another business in like a residential spot excites me because I feel like we're adding value to the city. We built a really good community of people and customers that want to come in. So I love where we are now, and we couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think to that point, for me, it's very much become a part of my home, right? Because when it's Sunday night and we want a nice meal, something delicious, it's always Sabzi, right? And so...
Well, I've delivered to you a few times.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to have your home in our home.
Yeah, you know? I love that.
What's the hard part? Like, what keeps you up at night?
Comments, reviews, all that kind of stuff. Once you put yourself out in the public eye, people have an opinion on you, right? They have an opinion on your food and service and who you are as people and all that kind of stuff. So that really personally affects me. I find it really hard to deal with sometimes. Does sometimes keep me up late at night. So I'm like, how can we be better on this? As I said, my dad is always like, it's fine. It's just somebody else's opinion on what you do. It's just an opinion. It doesn't mean it's real. It doesn't mean it's factual. But I take that personal. So I'm like, oh my God, it feels like I've just been stabbed in the heart. That side of the business is quite hard to deal with sometimes. And sometimes when service doesn't go right, because I'm really passionate about people want to enjoy our food. So when things don't go right in the kitchen sometimes, or if we were short staffed one day, or a dish isn't working as it should be, it's very hard to take, and it's just kind of like, how can we get it better?
I'm sure too, when it is your family and the dishes are what you're eating in your home, and that's what you're presenting to people, when they don't vibe off of it for one reason or another, I could see that being something that feels personal.
We're putting out pretty much our soul in the food and everything we do, so when somebody doesn't like it, it's kind of hard to take. It definitely feels personal, but it's those things where you just deal with it, try and move forward, following day, especially when it comes to a new week and a new menu. That for me is super refreshing, so I'm like, start over again. And whatever's happened really. We learn from that. We take aspects of what's happened and try and move forward with it and try and use that to our advantage. But we're constantly learning. There's never like the end of what you're doing. Of running a restaurant, you start, but there is no end. You just keep going and keep going.
That's awesome. I think we probably got to start wrapping it up. Unfortunately, I feel like this has been such a great conversation.
I feel like I've got so much to go.
I know, right? So we have a series of wrap-up questions that we ask every guest that comes on. So we'll just hit you with them. Give us the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What's the hidden gem on your menu that people don't order enough of, that you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why aren't you ordering this?
The pani puri.
Okay.
This is one of India's most popular street foods, and I say to people all the time, one dish that I would definitely recommend to you, even if you don't enjoy anything else, this one dish and you can walk away with an experience. You've left with an experience, because it's like nothing you've ever had before. It's such a textured dish. It's so different from what you're used to. It's absolutely gorgeous. So pani puri is like a little crispy bread puff shell. You get different options of filling, so you can get like a spiced potato mixture or like a spiced chickpea mixture. And then it comes with tamarind. So tamarind is like a sweet and savoury bud. You can turn into a sauce, which is absolutely gorgeous. We serve this separately and the masala water separate. So the water is just regular water, but we season it with spices, with fresh mint coriander. You can actually drink this as well. And what you do is you pour this mixture into the shell until they're nice and full. So it's like a full little sphere, and then you literally just knock it back in one go, the whole thing. So when you crunch down on it, there's an explosion of flavours, and again the texture around your mouth is absolutely gorgeous. So I always say to people, if you've never been here before, you need to try the pani puri. And the amount of times that we get people coming in and they bring friends with them for the first time, they're saying, you need to have the pani puri. I love it.
And it's like one of the few things that actually stays on the menu every week.
So that's a house favourite. So the pani puri is a house favourite. The chole bhature, which is a really traditional North Indian chickpea curry with the fluffy fried bread, that is very traditional. So we always say to people, if you're not sure, maybe go with this one, and that way you get the full experience of who we are as people and the dishes we're trying to create. So definitely the pani puri and the chole bhature, which is absolutely gorgeous.
That's awesome. So when a friend comes to visit Edinburgh, what restaurant are you taking them to?
Palmerston, Chorito on Leith Walk. The team there are absolutely amazing at what they do. I absolutely love what they do as well.
Yeah.
You can go in there, you can sit on the bar top and you can watch the guys cook the food. I love watching people cook. I get the element of seeing what's happening. I've always wanted to bring that element into the restaurant. I'm just like, how do we do that? That factor of being able to see what's been made literally in front of your eyes and salivating whilst you're watching it, the best experience. So, yeah.
All right. What kind of cuisine do you wish was more easily available in Edinburgh?
I feel like there's not much of a melting pot in terms of cuisine in Edinburgh. You get your Chinese, Italian, Indian, Mexican's definitely kind of coming through. I tried a little bit of South Korean not long ago, and I was like, I'm quite intrigued about these flavours here as well. Yeah, definitely more of the Asian-inspired kind of dishes. More Japanese cuisine. I love Japanese cuisine. I love sushi, and I love all the kind of cured meats and stuff that you eat as well. I just don't know if there's many that I really enjoy going to. So it'd be cool to kind of see definitely more Japanese cuisine.
Definitely. All right, last question. Between rice, bread, and pasta, you can only have one for the rest of your life. What do you pick?
It's got to be bread.
Bread, okay.
All day long.
Oh,
all right.
Especially the bhatura. That beautiful fluffy fried bread is something I can live with every day. So versatile as well. So bhatura essentially means balloon. So you got like a balloon type bread, and then you literally just got to poke at it to let the steam come out in the heat. You can tear it and scoop it up with whatever you're eating it with. You can break it open and fill it with something. The texture of it just got a lovely soft bite to it. So we actually add sugar to the mixture as well, because what it does is it crystallizes on the outside, so you get a nice crispiness, and you see these brown little bubbles sitting on top, but inside it's the complete opposite. It's soft and fluffy, and they're super airy as well, so they blow up. When they arrive at your table, you've got this little balloon type, and then when you tear into it, you just see a big steam, a big ball of steam coming out. It's amazing. Stunning bread.
Amazing.
Sounds delicious.
Stevie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on. It's really been
Thank you
great
very much for having me.
to get to hear the story.
Yeah. This has been awesome. Listeners, I have such a big smile on my face. Just talking to Stevie just does that to you, you know?
I feel like you can't walk away from a conversation with Stevie or anybody in the Sabzi family without just an overwhelming sense of joy and exuberance.
100%. So we just want to say thank you to Stevie for taking the time out of his very busy day to pop by the studio and give us the Sabzi origin story.
It's such a good story, too.
It's such a great story, man.
I just love the way that they constantly do things their own way, and I respect that so much.
Totally. I should say, listeners, obviously everybody that we talk to has an Instagram account, but there is something particularly special about the Sabzi Instagram account. It is so bright and joyful, and Stevie does it all himself, and it's a masterclass in how you post food on Instagram.
It's just a really fun account to follow.
So, speaking of following, who do we have next on the podcast, Kev?
So next up, we are talking to Rachel and Alex, the duo behind the Amaro Bar, Hey Palu in Tollcross, and the Agave Bar, Chancho in Leith. For me, having Alex and Rachel on is really a special treat. Their bars are two of my favorite places in the city, and I'm excited to have an episode where we talk to a cocktail bar because we both love cocktails so much.
100%. We both love cocktails. All right. So until next time.